Hello everyone, my name is SAANVI AHUJA. I'm from New Delhi in India, and this is my final project for the CS50 cybersecurity course. In this project, I will be explaining the Utils backdoor, which was recently discovered on the 29th of March. So let's get started. So what is this backdoor and how does this pose a major cybersecurity threat? So Utils is an open source data compression library which is available on almost all installations of Linux like Red Hat and Fedora and other Unix-like operating systems. So this backdoor was spotted by Andres Friend as a software developer at Microsoft, and it was spotted by chance. And so it was a very meticulously engineered supply chain attack where a GitHub user called Jiatan was responsible for inserting the backdoor. A supply chain attack is an attack in which malicious code is inserted into an application at source and by the creator, perhaps by the creators of the application itself. So when the users download the application, the malicious code is already present. So why is this backdoor dangerous? Because it allows for remote code execution on the infected computer through SSH, and it makes it possible for the attacker to maybe access sensitive information or to run malicious code. So it's a very serious issue, and it's been given a score of 10 points on the National Vulnerability Database. So it's a very severe issue, and it's currently present in the versions of 5.6.0 and 5.6.1 of the Utils library, so it's recommended to downgrade to a safer version. The backdoor was inserted by a user by the name of Jiatan, who gained maintainer privileges to the Utils library using social engineering. And the backdoor was only included in the source code tarball releases, which are basically used by users to download the library, and the backdoor was not publicly available on the GitHub repository. So in a nutshell, this backdoor allows someone who has the right private key, which is the attacker, to hijack SSHD, which is the executable file responsible for making SSH connections. And from there, the attacker can execute malicious commands. The backdoor's functioning is very cleverly hidden and very hard to detect, which explains why nobody before the Microsoft engineer came across it. So here's an overview of the backdoor's functioning by developer Sam James. So as you can see, it's a complex backdoor. Basically, here's its functioning. So the release tarball upstream publishers don't have the same code that GitHub has. The malicious code isn't publicly available for anyone to order, and it's only present in the release tarballs. This is a common thing, but in this case, it was used to hide the backdoor. This is the star of the show, the build to host macro, which in the tarballs is different, and the GitHub library it's different. So what this macro does is it unpacks the malicious test data, which contains the backdoors, and uses it to modify the build processes. So, then it redirects OpenSSH authentication routines, and thus it allows the attacker to gain remote access to a machine. So what this macro does, build to host, it checks for various conditions like architecture of the machine, target of the build, and names. And especially it checks whether you're trying to build a Debian or Red Hat package, which shows that this attack is mainly targeted at AMD 64 systems which run glibc and use either Debian or Red Hat derived distributions of Linux. Here's another infographic which explains the attack by Thomas Roshia. So Utils is a collection of open source tools and libraries for XE compression format, and this backdoor was discovered on 29th of March by Andres Friend, principal software engineer at Microsoft, and it was inserted by the GitHub user GRT75, who goes by the name Giatan. Their account was created in 2021, and the first commit to the exe repo was made in 22 February, and then there were many other commits to the library which allowed the backdoor to be inserted. The malicious macro built to host M4 unpacks the test files which contain the malicious code, and then they use a technique of custom substitution cipher by byte value mapping to recover the backdoor and then add it to the compilation linking process. So who is this user Giatan who implanted this backdoor, and how did they do it? So for someone who was responsible for managing such an important piece of software such as Utils, there is shockingly little known about this person. There is no other trace of Giatan on the internet apart from their GitHub account. So yeah, and their account was created in 2021, and since then they've contributed towards various open source projects, perhaps to build trust in the online persona. It's likely that they haven't actually contributed any malicious code in them, otherwise this person's account wouldn't have been trustworthy to gain access to such an important library. And by 2023, this person started contributing to the executils library. So the original maintainer of the library, Blasecolin, was pressured into bringing another developer on board due to complaints of various bugs and slow updates by some users. What's interesting is that none of these users have significant online activity, so perhaps they were puppet accounts made solely for the purpose of pressuring the original maintainer to bring another developer on board who conveniently happened to be Giatan. So this year, Giatan was able to release the backdoor version of the library in February, and after a little more than a month, on March 29th, the backdoor was discovered before any significant harm was done. So despite this Giatan only being a single person, a single account, it is very likely that this is the work of a group of hackers. Because to have this much patience to run an account for 3 years, simply 3 years, contribute to various open source projects, and then insert malicious code in a library, this seems highly targeted, and I don't think any person would have this much patience to build so much trust and then attack a specific library. Now their account has been banned on GitHub, and the executils library has gone private. Now, what are the various implications for cybersecurity considering this attack? So this one was a very complex attack which used a lot of social engineering, building trust in an online persona, and then using it for malicious purposes. So it reveals new tactics that may be employed in future cyber attacks. So we need to be more careful about seemingly polite and helpful people online who may be hiding malicious intentions. So, and it's also become very important that we examine open source software more deeply and scrutinize those who are making contributions to the software, especially those having the highest privileges. Like Giatan, they were the maintainer of the library, but nobody bothered to check whether they had any other presence online apart from their GitHub. So now sharing this, and as soon as an attack is discovered, we should share information about it as to reduce the negative consequences resulting from the attack. And in this case, fortunately, the attack was discovered before any significant harm had been done. So here are my sources. Thank you for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed it.